Fancy.
Time to light the lights.
So many things.
Time to put on music.
I
Wait,
like that.
we can't. It's copyrighted, guys.
Oh, yeah.
We can't put on the music.
Don't even hum it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mack Flash 5. This is our special edition. We're going to be talking about the Muppets. You know how
Waka waka.
Season premieres of shows usually run like the 2-part episodes. Well, this is going to be about that long, probably. So fasten your seatbelts. We're in for a bumpy ride.
All right. Well, yeah.
And
Moving right along.
Moving
right along.
Well, we'll see, because this is probably going to be our most debated topic of all time.
Oh my
Lives may be lost. Thankfully, we're not in the same room, so we don't have to kill each other.
Felt may be torn, you know.
We don't have to literally die on our hills as we talk about the Muppet movies.
Controversial. Now, you want to tell how we're doing this? This is a
Right.
little different,
Well,
right?
let's introduce ourselves. My name's Matt. Next to me is Mike. Finally got that right the first time. Beside him, AB, Scott down there. And we have our special guest, Sean, who looks enough like Jim Henson that we might have to file a paternity suit. This is the first guest because Francois, I mean, we have 5, and the 5th is usually Francois. Sean is our first guest. I'm right about that, right? First guest on the Matt Flash 5.
I'll check back in the vaults, but I think
All
you're
right.
right. Yeah.
Welcome, guest.
Well, I didn't know it was such a place of prestige and privilege.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, well,
that bottom square there.
you're the only one who agreed, I think. I don't know as much.
Like I said, we're talking about the Muppets, and this is not going to be a usual episode where we've got like 3 topics that we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about the movies. We're going to talk about our favorite Muppets, 5 of those, and 5 of our favorite songs from those movies. So, like I said, it might be a long one. Let's cross our fingers and hope we can get through this smoothly.
I mean, you can watch it over several days. It's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
3 episodes if we really needed to.
Yeah. So, and we're going to do it a little bit differently because we're going to be talking about all of the Muppet movies. And to explain our definition of a Muppet movie, those include the 8 theatrical releases.
Yep.
The Muppet Movie, Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets from Space, The Muppets, and Muppets Most Wanted are the 8 theatrical release movies. We're also going to be talking about 3 direct-to-DVD or TV movies that made it onto our list because the runtime was over 80 minutes. That was the cutoff point. So that's going to include Very Merry Muppet Christmas, Muppets Wizard of Oz, and Kermit's Swamp Years. All of those were 80 minutes or longer, so we're going to be we spent the better part of 2 weeks, everybody, watching these movies to get up to date and have mental notes in our head or even written down.
I mean, Andrew might have watched them all in one day, I think, but
A couple days. Took a couple days.
I certainly did one a day for a while.
Yeah.
I did double.
I watched them all for the first time, and they kind of blend together. So
this will be
I don't
great.
know where one ended and one began. So we're gonna try our best here.
But I do like
They were in
that.
Manhattan, and all of a sudden they were in the land of Oz. It was great.
Yeah. That's a good story arc. I think I like that, though, that we have such a vast array here of like Scott being new to them all.
Yes.
Right. A few of us being versed in them and watching the show. Right. And some of us having not seen them for a long time, but then rewatching them. So there's like a good mix.
I do not have the affinity for Henson and Muppets as the rest of you guys. I certainly do not. So we shall see how this lines up.
Yeah,
And certainly after this last watch, a lot of these movies that I thought in my head were placed where they were have changed dramatically.
Cool. That's what I figured.
On their positions.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Now, another special part of this episode is, like I said, we're going to go through all 11 movies. We're going to use a method I've taken from another podcast. And as we say our numbered movie, we won't be discussing that movie until all 5 of us have mentioned it. So we'll do 11 to 1, And once a movie has been said 5 times, I mean, this is Candyman rules, essentially, right?
To be ready.
Well, just don't say that 5 times.
Right.
We're
That's
all
one.
in trouble.
Does Sweetums come out and chase us once we say the movie 5 times?
Because-
Okay.
Who wouldn't want that? Comes in through like the Kool-Aid guy through the wall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, if I get a hug from Sweetums out of this, I'm down. Let's
That
go.
is a win.
He's gonna eat you.
That is a win. I have to say, I have to interject here. I saw the Muppets 3D, short thing at Disney World.
Where does
and
that rank?
oh my gosh, it's above some of the movies. I'll tell you what. But I watched it. It was about a 20-minute thing, whatever. It's in 3D. It's fantastic. And literally at some point, the rest of it's all like, you see it on stage. They're coming out of the walls, whatever. But a real Sweetums comes out at some point, full costume, comes out. I was like a little kid. The whole rest of the place didn't really care. But I'm like, it's Sweetums! And I'm like pointing them at him. My wife's going like, okay, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. I was like a little, yeah, this was just like a year ago.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. To be fair, we're you were a grown man because you said oh, I was like a little kid. You were not like.
I wasn't a little kid.
You were in fact an adult.
Which one is Sweetums?
That big one, big guy.
Good guy. A lot of big guys.
No. Well, there's only I'd say there's only about 2 or 3 that are bigger than you, and he's one of them. As far as like full size human in the costume. Right?
Bobo and a couple of the big goon guys.
Yeah.
Cosplay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh man.
To wipe it up on.
Okay. So
All right, here we go.
I think we're going to start with our movies. We're all going to say our number 11. I guess I'll start. My number 11 Muppet movie is The Muppet Wizard of Oz.
Oh man, I thought we were gonna match right off the hop. No, my number 11 is Kermit's Swamp Ears.
My number 11 is definitely Kermit's Swamp Ears.
Wow.
My name is Scott. My number 11 is Kermit Swamp Ears.
Oh,
Yeah, Sean here, Mr. Kroll. Swamp Ears hit my number 11 as well.
oh.
Matt.
Matt, what's your 10?
Center.
Okay, my number 10 is Kermit's Swamp Ears.
There it
Ding,
is.
ding, 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 ding.
There it is. I mean, I don't know about you guys, and we're free to talk about it now, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's more than anything. This ranks near the at the bottom for me because it's just really Kermit. You know what I mean? And there's other puppets in there if you want to call them Muppets, but it's not a full Muppet film because there's really no other Muppets in it. So you have to love Kermit, and I know a lot of people do, but it's just a Kermit film. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
I think too. You mentioned this when we were discussing this off air that the adult or the humans in it are just awful, just the worst.
Yes.
Like all the adult. I keep calling them adult, not human actors. All the human actors are just so awful, and every time there is like non-Muppet things happening and there's people like chasing them and stuff, I was just like, I hate all of these people. Just awful. Yeah.
How about the running down the hallways at the school? And that felt like that was going on forever. And that guy was like fake running down the hallway. And it was just like, I was like, is this happening right now? So yeah. Okay.
Brutal.
I just saw it. That's one. This and another one I didn't quite finish. It was just incredibly boring. So from what I saw of it as well too, it's just the most unforgettable thing I watched this holiday season.
You made the right choice to stop watching it.
I had to cram the bottom 3, and I was just like, well, I'm not going to waste my valuable time finishing this out.
Good choice.
Very smart choice. And it just squeaked in too, didn't it? Like, was it 82 minutes?
Yeah. I think that was the bar. We set 80? The bar with that movie. Yeah. So,
all right. So
lower.
Does that go to me again for number 10? Oh, Sean,
I just want to explain.
You couldn't have said it much lower. That's all.
Yeah, I just want to explain. Yeah, there are things in Muppet Wizard of Oz that I dislike more than Kermit Swamp Ears, but to compare them just specifically, Swamp Ears I think was better cinematography and funnier story. That's pretty much why.
I can see that, and watching Kermit Swamp Ears, there were moments where I definitely laughed.
Yeah.
But like Andrew said, the human actors took me out of it. So if there was more Muppets, more even Kermit, if you will, even some of his sidekicks there were pretty darn funny. But like again, not enough like Muppet movies. Like I know Scott and I, we've talked all about this cameos. The cameos are popping Scott left and right in the other movies. And this one isn't cameo. Like I mean, because it's not a feature film, right? Like, and so it's just not enough of the good stuff to make it rank higher than Oz for me. Even though I do agree with you on those points, Matt.
So yeah, my number 10 was Kermit Swamp Years.
Okay. So my 10 was obviously Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Was Muppets Wizard of Oz number 10?
My number 10 is Muppets Wizard of Oz.
I put my number 10 is Muppets Take Manhattan.
Whoa!
Are you out of your goddamn minds?
Wow!
No way.
No discussion. No discussion there.
America. Lose your memory. No. Cliche.
It's two very disjointed films, but they're both very fun. We'll get to that.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it much later. We'll get to it.
That's pretty fun, man.
I don't think I can continue.
Yeah.
Really surprised.
That was a gut shot for sure.
Oh,
What my number 1 is.
oh my god. It's probably Muppets Wizard of Oz.
I think I know.
We got to wait the entire time. The last thing we talk about is Muppets Wizard of Oz because it's dead last. Like,
Anarchy.
Okay.
I don't even like the Muppets in that movie. Rules, man.
Okay. My number 9 is The Muppets, the Jason Segel.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Yeah, I did too. I don't like it.
Okay, we're gonna be here a goddamn while.
Oh, okay. Oh, how on earth? I know we can't discuss it, but how on earth do you rank It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas above the Muppets? Okay,
I'll explain when we get to it.
My number 9 is It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas. And it is, by the way, the same director as the Muppets Wizard of Oz. And yeah, you can tell. Anyways, Andrew.
Same. It's a very Muppet Christmas.
3 for 3, guys. Muppet Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's yours, Sean? Is it the Muppet movie?
Your number 9
Oz is the Muppet.
is Muppet Wizard of Oz.
Okay. Now discussion.
Okay, we can talk about it. Good.
So you want to take anybody jump in?
I'm going to start first before you guys get to it. I enjoy adaptations of the stories. I think that's one thing. They've done 3. They do this, and then we'll get to the 2 others that they do as well too. I'm down with more of that. I know you're in the camp of original versus this. I think adaptations are fun, so I gave this one the edge just to the mere fact that it references a lot of the main source, and there's a meta jokes and in jokes. I think the adaptations of things are fun. I put them above original stories no matter what.
And I agree, and it's especially when they adapt them into the characters. I think
so you get to see who plays the Tin Man, and then it's cool.
Like Gonzo is the Tin Man. Pretty fun.
Okay, but that shtick gets old after 2 minutes.
Of course.
But
that's why I'm saying that's why I give it over.
Oh, look, he's the Tin Man. Ha ha ha.
But that's why I'm ranking it over Swamp Years, obviously.
I know.
And for me, and we talked about it on our thread there, that when I turn the movie on, it starts with a music video for Ashante, and I'm like,
I don't mind.
Ashante's my girl. I'm sitting there like, is this the movie? Has the movie started? Yes. Is this like there's no credit? There's no credits, right? No. It's just like it just starts in with the song, and I'm like, has the movie? Wait. Is this like a pre thing before the movie starts? Is like a bonus?
Is this a YouTube ad?
Yeah.
and
then the movie starts. And I was like, "Holy crap! That was the start of the movie."
And then the end is a sort of another video for her.
Yeah.
So it became like I had to actually sort of put myself back in time because this was what year was this? 2005? Am I right? Or is that
2004?
No, 2005. I think it's 5. And because it came,
5.
Yeah, because I think 2 of them came out the same year. And so I had to put myself back in time and go, how popular was she at the time? Or was this her vehicle? Was she like, okay, we're going to show the world Ashanti, and we're going to do it with the Muppets. Like, it was really, really weird. And at that point, this would be Muppets that weren't really culturally relevant anymore because we're talking the 2005. That's why some of these are like all TV specials until we get back to the revivals because so that's why they were a low budget. They were on TV, and so I'm just like, what is happening? And then it's like David Alan Grier and like some like
Him I liked.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say I was done with him. There's some other cameos in here that I was like, that's fun. That's fine.
But,
It's fine.
yeah, I do enjoy that there was cameos. I will definitely agree with that. And I get the concept of having, Piggy be the witch, and those things are funny on a surface level.
Yeah.
But like again, the story wasn't really there, and some of the twists they tried to put with it just weren't really there for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't like the way it was shot. You talked about the guy running in the hallways in Kermit Swamp Years.
Yeah.
Ashanti has to do that the whole movie, just fake walking as the Muppets are bouncing in front of her. It really took me out of it. I mean, I was going to say the only thing that saved it was Pepe, but it is my last movie. Something has to go last, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just really want to breathe.
Well, and like, wasn't that the one that was like super like sexual too? There was like all these like innuendos.
Yes.
And I was like, this is like inappropriate.
There's a couple of their movies, not the originals and not the revivals. I don't think. I think it's those TV special ones. There was a couple, and I remember a couple of jokes going, "Is this how you're trying to bring the Muppets back?" Like,
yeah.
No,
like, yeah, I definitely, that definitely stood out for me. And like, whatever, I don't really care. But like, at the same time, like when you're literally marketing these things as like family product, there's no place for that. I mean, even if it's something small, like there's just no place for it.
It was a bummer because this was the last Muppet property before Disney bought it outright.
Yeah.
So clearly after this, like Disney was like, wow, their stock has dropped. Let's pick this up for a song.
Yeah.
Which
we
song?
will be talking about later. Yeah. Okay, so that was
my number. That was all of your number 9s.
Yeah.
So my number 8.
Yes.
I haven't done my 9.
You haven't done 9? Okay.
No, we're already out of sorts here.
Yeah, that was
wasn't Merry.
Did we do Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was your 9.
You said your 9.
Sorry, then I didn't know we talked about. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's his 8. Matt's 8.
My number 8 is A Very Merry Muppet Christmas.
Okay, sure.
So we can talk about that now.
Oh yeah, everyone plopped that on there, eh? I don't
know.
Sean, did you say?
8. Yeah.
Did you say it already? Yeah. Very Merry Muppet Christmas.
Nope. Yeah. I got his 10, 9, or his 11, 10, and 9.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
8.
All right.
I got
so number 8 for me, and this, I mean, we've touched on this already, and you guys, it's no secret to me. I am not a huge fan of the remakes of things. I did not enjoy this, although I love Brian Henson. I did not like Muppet Treasure Island. I did not. And it's funny because I enjoyed it when I was younger, and I had the VHS clamshell, and I loved it. But on a rewatch, it did not hold up at all. And I love Tim Curry.
We'll get to it, Mike.
It did not hold up at all. Oh, sorry, that's right. I'm not supposed
to. Yeah, get to it.
Sorry, I forgot. I'm used to the old way.
You're number 8.
This one might be a shocker too. I'm going Great Muppet Caper for number 8.
I'm also going Great Muppet Caper for 8. Yeah, I liked it at the start, and then once I watched the others, I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't like it as much.
Not a shocker.
The whole time, I'm just like, this is terrible.
It is. It does slog.
Okay. Sean, you're number 8.
Matt's got to keep us going.
For number 8, I put Muppets from Space.
Okay.
Oh,
so that's.
You really liked Muppet from Space. You betrayed me. A2 Bruta.
Okay, my number 7 is Muppets Most Wanted.
Oh, that's my number 7 as well.
That is my number 7 as well.
Shut the front door.
So close. My number 7 is Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh my gosh,
okay.
you guys are killing me here.
Okay.
I just flipped those from you, but yeah.
Wow.
My number 7 is Very Merry Muppet Christmas.
Okay.
Oh,
now we can discuss The Very Merry Muppet Christmas.
Now, what I was going to say about Very Merry Muppet Christmas is, does it really warrant a discussion at all? Talk.
Christmas is fun. I like Christmas.
It has some great cameos. I will say it has great cameos in it, and that is the one thing that, for me, elevates it above all those other ones.
C-list cameos.
But... Sure, but they're still fun cameos. Like, it's definitely when people show up, I'm like, hey, I know that person, as opposed to the other one.
But can we list some of them? Carson Daly.
Yeah, well, David Arquette again.
David Arquette again. Matthew Lillard, and Matthew Lillard being so annoying.
Yes, yeah, that's about it.
The very dated cast of Scrubs cameo.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
I like that.
What's more dated, Scrubs or the Dawson's Creek one? We'll get to later.
We'll get to
I was like, oh, this is dated.
Joan Cusack going over the top. I love all the time.
And that.
I hate her.
I can't. I don't like her in anything.
very much.
Yeah.
Pepe is hilarious.
Yes.
Well,
True.
yeah.
True.
And I do like the story about the millionaire person who's trying to take over the Muppet Theater, which, you know, may or may not be a plot of another movie.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Except for this one did it
No,
that one rap.
Oh, but the other one did it better. So you know.
But the other one
minus the rap scene.
That is cringe. I like both of the actor and rap, and that scene I was. Oh my god.
To be continued. Say that. Okay. While we're off the rails, I don't even know what's happening.
So that was Sean's.
That was 7. No, it was the 7.
Okay, now we got those junk ones. We're going to theatrical releases.
6.
I'm excited for it.
6. Sorry, 6.
Yeah. So
6.
my number 6 is Muppets from Space.
Okay. My number 6 is The Great Muppet Caper.
Okay. My number 6 is Muppets from Space.
My number 6 is the movie I watched today, Muppets Most Wanted.
6 for me is Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh my gosh. You guys are
Okay, so
really...
none of these have been all talked yet, right? No. Okay, so Matt, number 5.
My number 5 is Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh,
no way.
Nope.
No.
Oh, Andrew's gonna.
Wow, shiver me timbers. AB loves it.
You guys know I love it. You guys know that I love it. Don't act like it's a shock. You guys know my love for Treasure Island.
I also watched that movie at 5 a.m. when my niece stayed over, and I didn't take it in 100%. So I should rewatch it.
No, you're fine.
AB or Mike, you're number 5?
Number 5, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
My number 5 is The Muppets.
My number 5 is the 1979 Muppet movie.
Oh, you just made some enemies with them.
That's top 5, though.
Muppets Most Wanted there.
Sean's
Did Muppet Most Wanted get
we
put
can
up?
discuss Muppets Most Wanted.
Okay.
Great.
Oh my gosh. Can
Scott,
we discuss?
Go for it.
Oh, go. Your background says it all. Go, Scott.
Okay, this is actually exactly the plot of the movie. No, it's fun. It's mistaken identity. It's what I like. Okay, so the 2 things I knew as an outsider about the Muppets were celebrity cameos and meta jokes. I knew that they do both of those, and the reboots kind of go all in on that formula more than the other ones. They know that that's their bread and butter. So if in watching them, there's something about the more modern approach because you do get the modern celebrity pop culture references, the cameos. We'll talk about like the introduction of Walter, I think is a great Muppet character. We'll get to him. But, Most Wanted's just like a harmless story where they continue immediately after the 2011 reboot and picks up where they go on a world tour. And Ricky Gervais plays a villain. And as they go through, hilarity kind of ensues because Kermit's mistaken for a criminal. And there's lots of in-jokes in that. I think there's some really funny scenes that I laughed at. Like when they go and find Kermit and he's like, oh, wait, so you're telling me Animal is the only one who realized I was different? Okay, this isn't as bad as it sounds. I laugh. I'm like, this is kind of fun, harmless humor. So I do enjoy Most Wanted. It fell in literally middle of the pack for me, 6 of 11.
I love this movie so much more than The Muppets.
Why?
Because I think the story is so much better. I think the human acting is so much better. I love the character of Constantine Frog.
Yeah,
because to me, he's like a metaphor. Because in his story of switching out Kermit is a metaphor for like how the puppeteers switch out, and like we're not supposed to notice as the audience. It's like, of course we noticed that right away. Well, like when Jim Henson died and Steve Whitmire took over, I noticed that right away. When Frank Oz retired and Eric Jacobson took all over his parts, they don't sound the same.
You're giving this way more subtext than it's
whatever. That's why I love this movie.
I appreciate that, though. I like that.
I think the accent of Constantine is the most annoying thing ever in a Muppet movie. Like, it is brutal.
And that's to my point. Like, he doesn't sound like Kermit.
Maybe.
His voice is way over the top.
Oh, I get that. I get that.
We just believe it, Kermit.
Yeah, I tell you the one thing I thought that I take away from this, because I do not enjoy this film, and I was hyped after the Muppets that this was coming out, and I was completely disappointed. If I wish they could just delete all of Tina Fey's scenes immediately out of the movie. But
I love her too. And she's
beautiful, but that I don't know. That it's kind of fun that they're putting on like a play and like all the criminals are people.
Yeah.
They're like Ray Liotta, AB's close personal friend Danny Trejo, and Hornswoggle, and that's like pretty fun.
Do we have time to talk about that? Danny Trejo?
Hold on, because I have to say the only thing I really take away from this film and it's not obviously it's ranked 7th. It's not my least favorite. But I do enjoy that in this film, speaking of meta, if you caught it in the middle, they only recognize that there are 8 other films in the series. They mention it. They completely
say it right in the beginning in one of the songs.
They completely disregard all the
the
bad.
They say this is the 7th sequel to their original motion picture. We're talking about favorite songs yet?
No.
And I'll reference that quote later, as long as with another one that Rizzo makes, where after Walter leaves, Floyd is like, Walter left. We just did a whole movie about him joining the group.
That was funny.
Like, to the point that it almost to the
it
point
hurt
that
a lot. A lot of other secondary characters stories
got removed,
suffered.
and I was like, yeah, good point.
That's
Shitty
fun.
movie.
Wow.
I mean, they obviously got my letter, and they put it in the.
I mean, the bottom line is, I can't talk about it now. We'll talk about it later.
So anyway,
Andrew wants to talk about what he did to Danny Trejo.
So Danny Trejo's in this movie, and I remember that definitely popped for me in the theater, seeing Danny Trejo, because I thought that was pretty fun that he's in Muppet Movies. So me and Mike got to see him at a Q&A at Fan Expo in Toronto, and so I thought it'd be hilarious if I asked him a question about the Muppet movie, about him being in the Muppet movie. So I got up and asked him about it, and so he started talking about how great it was, and as he was talking about it, he started to kind of tear up. And come to find out that while he was filming the Muppet movie, his mom passed away, and how he talked about how amazing it was to be in that kind of environment, how supportive everyone. And by the time it's done, he's full on crying. And I was like, holy crap, I just made Danny Trejo cry in front of a room full of people. Like, and obviously the last thing I thought happening when I was going to ask Danny Trejo about a Muppet movie, like the last thing I thought was going to happen. But anyway. Yeah, I made Danny.
That's a very cool story.
Okay, we ended with Sean's number 5. So my number 4 is The Great Muppet Caper.
So where are we at with that one?
Is that everybody on Caper?
No, not yet.
Okay, I got Muppets from Space for number 4.
I am at Muppet Christmas Carol for number 4.
My number 4 is The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oof, okay.
Mine was The Muppets 2011.
The Muppets.
The Muppets, yeah.
So no discussion.
Jeez.
My number 3 is The Muppet Movie.
Okay.
My number 3 is Muppets Take Manhattan.
My number 3 is also Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh,
so
is that
it?
Yeah,
I don't think
it's on it there.
I don't think Matt said it. Did you?
No, not yet.
Oh,
he hasn't got his big ones yet.
Well, he just took out Muppet Movie.
I know.
Who's Scott?
So my number 3. My number 3 is Muppets from Space.
Okay,
and
we're
Sean,
not there yet.
Number 3,
The Great Muppet Caper.
The Great Muppet Caper. It's time to discuss The Great Muppet Caper.
Okay. Can we say it's a little sad that this isn't as good as I want it to be, because it's the only one directed by Jim Henson?
Yeah.
I want it to be better, but it's one of those things like we've talked with Lucas and stuff. He's a great creator. He's great. This whole thing came from him, but other people sort of do his filming and directing a little bit better, I think, for Muppets anyways. But it's just the story is just.
I thought the story was confusing as hell too. They go and the diamonds and this and Grodin and like Piggy, and Piggy has diamonds or something, and then they go on a date, and I'm like, this is really complex, guys.
Yeah, and too much about the humans again for me in a Muppet movie. I want more of the Muppets and less of the Grodin and the diamond heist. But yeah.
I remember really loving this as a kid. Like, it was definitely one of my favorites as a kid. But then on the rewatch, and I think I was messaging you guys and being like, guys, I hate to say this, but I'm like, I don't like this at all.
If you asked me 3 weeks ago, this was my number 1.
Yeah, it was definitely
my entire childhood. This was my favorite one.
It was the second one I watched, and I liked it more. And the more I thought about it and like went back, I'm like, Yeah, the Muppet movie is a better movie. I rank that 5 and this 8, but again, it was
Well,
just a
we are-
slog.
We already talked about like the great cameos too. Like obviously Charles Grodin is one of the main characters in this thing, but other than that, like what else do you have? Like you have a John Cleese cameo in there,
Yeah, with
and
like the weird wife stuff.
and it's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah,
And I'm
'cause-
like, it's completely wasted. I was like, everything other than that, like what else? What other cameos? I mean, you got what other cameos? And there's a couple of little ones like directors, but like.
Jim
Yeah,
Henson.
Yeah,
himself.
Jim Henson himself in the booth. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. So like, what else?
But
Oh.
when they go out to dinner, that ballroom scene, Miss Piggy has like 2 major like song and dance numbers.
Which is probably
that-
another reason why it's not. that's
yeah,
high
that
up.
really take me out of it.
Yeah.
Today.
Piggy's showcase. I like this one for her.
You like it because of that she's the showcase?
Yes.
Is she one of your preferred? Well, can't talk about that.
Oh, don't talk about it.
Movie.
I think that's a spoiler. Number 1, Muppet for Sean. It's Piggy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, are we on Sean's right now? Or was that Sean's? That was
That was
Sean.
Sean's number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
My number 2
We're start
is
cracking them off here.
the Muppets Take Manhattan. It is time to discuss
Oh,
the
okay,
Muppets
here we go.
Take Manhattan.
Now, first, I gotta go to Sean. You ranked it like
Way low.
And
like-
yeah,
10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me. I need to know why.
I think it's just because of the whole. It almost we fall in love with Kermit because of who he is as a stage director, as a performer, as a Muppet. But what makes him successful is he becomes a corporate dog of America. You know what I mean? And it just seems to me there's a real subtext there that you can be happy or you can be successful. And you're kind of positioning people that you want to be rich, you better follow the man. And you want to kind of go hippie and hang out with all your furball friends, then you could go into the arts. And I just think this is a big lauding of corporate America. And yet,
Oh my gosh.
It's the 80s. That's everything the 80s is.
Right.
he's convinced me. Give me my dollar
Were you
back.
Wall Street conversation last week. I literally went into Wall Street combo.
it's a hypocritical Muppet film.
Man, I never thought of it in that context, and that's why I love the
I like the Gregory Hines cameo.
Okay.
That's
Let's go superficial because that was deep.
very deep.
Gregory Hines, Brooke Shields, Joan Rivers. I don't like Joan Rivers, but even having Joan Rivers be weird.
man.
She was fun. The debut of the Muppet Babies.
I would thank you.
Muppet Baby.
I love that, and I used to watch the cartoon. I watched it every chance it was on. Watched the cartoon, and I loved seeing this, right, which spawned that in actual foam Muppet puppet form.
Yes.
Oh, and they were so cute, and it was cool. I watched it with my daughter and seeing it through her eyes, and she's like, "What? Is there a show of those?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, there is."
You're like,
yeah.
fire it up. That's fun.
The human actors who I can't name, which I love because they are right where they belong, off to the side.
Yes.
From
okay,
Muppet movie. They're the stars.
Sure.
You get to see a lot of New York, which is different from a Muppet movie.
Huh?
Putting together, coming up with something in your mind and doing your best to get it out to show the people, and it's got really great songs.
Manhattan Melodies, B.
Okay, so I think that this. I mean, we're going to talk about songs later, but this was still Paul Williams, right? And
No,
so
it's not.
It's not Paul Williams.
No, I think he was the first 2. I think, right?
The first 2, and
did he come back for another
Christmas Carol? He did
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, but you're not wrong though. The music feels very Muppet and Paul Williams. I loved at the end of this one because I mean, again, it goes back to the Muppet Show and the opening with all the Muppets in the. I loved the church scene with all the Muppets in all the pews and like you said, you get to see them and they're the feature
From all the other platforms, you get Sesame Street and a Fragment.
Yes. So that's always gonna pop me. I'm gonna love that, right? So that got me. That was really cool, and I love this is sort of the opposite of the I know you don't like it, Matt, but the remake there, or not the remake, but the new Muppet movie, the opposite, where you have the gang splitting up. So you have that sad moment of they're all leaving and they're all going off and they have to get their own jobs. That's a tearjerker.
Absolutely.
And so I that one was really powerful. And then you get to go see what they go off and do, and that kind of thing.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
They have the Kermit and Piggy wedding.
Yeah.
And I mean
Trick wedding, right?
But the Kermit and Piggy wedding and then the jewel heist from Great Muppet Caper, because those two aspects were also in Muppets Most Wanted. That's why it was down a little bit more, because it's it's just reusing.
That's true. That's true. I forgot about the fake wedding in that one too. That's right.
Yeah. That's why that one was just a little bit low, because I really like Muppets Most Wanted.
There you go.
Matt does not want Matt does not want a single minute of his Muppet movies to be the same as his previous Muppet movies. Not 1 minute.
You're the one who's all about original Muppet stories. No adaptations. They're adapting themselves at that point.
Okay.
All right, where are we at here?
A lot of people are cool about Muppets, aren't there?
That was my number 2. Mike's number 2.
The Muppets, 2011, James Bobbin.
Are we there? For that one?
Mike's? Nope.
Okay, we are here for this one. My number 2, you know it's coming. Muppet Treasure Island.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Talk about why it's so high.
Okay, so you guys all ranked it low. Let me give me my time to shine for why I like it, and you guys can trash it afterwards.
I'm not trashing it. It's just number 6. That's all.
Muppets Treasure Island. I love. I saw it in theater. It's one of the Muppet movies I saw in theater, and to me, I just there's so much funny stuff in it, and I love the story of Treasure Island. So like I'm a big fan of the story to begin with. So I know like Mike said he doesn't like adapted stories of that. Them adapting a story that I really like in Muppet form really helps that cause, and so I like that story. And my number 1 reason for liking Muppet Treasure Island is Mr. Tim Curry. You put Mr. Tim Curry in something like that, and Tim Curry was born to perform with the Muppets. It was a match made in heaven, and it worked so well. Man, like him, even his song is amazing. I love it.
Yo-ho one, or
yes.
on that? That's a great song.
It's a great song, and it like he even mentions of it. This is my one song. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Like,
yeah, that's right.
There's so and like we might be talking about one of the songs later on. But the songs for me really kill it in that movie. It makes me laugh every time. I'm 43 years old. I just watched it over the holidays, and I laughed an unreasonable amount of times during the movie because it just cracks me up. There's a lot of laughs in a lot of the other movies, but this one makes me laugh the most because there's so much for me very funny things in it.
I thought maybe you were laughing at that kid actor.
He is definitely the worst part of it.
Well, here's the thing about that kid actor. In England, he's a very funny fellow. He's got like 2 seasons of his own show, and he's a stand-up comic out there now. I forget, something Bishop is his last name. I know that.
Thankfully, that worked out for him because
doesn't help my
AB talking about the songs. Even the schmozzy romantic song between Kermit and Piggy is outdone because the pirates find the treasure at that point and start dancing in all the gold and stuff, and that even ups it a little bit. It's like, I don't like this song, but the visuals are terrific for it.
Yes, yeah, and man, it's to me it's a match made in heaven, and it works so well for me anyway.
Tim Curry not to be completely outdone by Billy Connolly at the beginning of the movie, and Jennifer Saunders at the beginning of the movie, both hilarious in their own right.
I've got the black. They gave me the black mark.
Well, too bad he didn't stay around for. I mean, that would have been probably more entertaining for me. But Scott's
Scott?
2.
My number 2, Muppet Christmas Carol.
Scott's number 2.
Is that it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh!
I knew it wouldn't be. I know
it's gonna be who's number 1. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Sean, you're number 2.
And I really have to debate this because you're kind of chicken and egg scenario here. And I'm not talking about Gonzo or Camilla.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
But this is a last minute switch for me. I've got to do it because number 2's got to be the Muppet movie.
Okay. So we're down to the number 1s here.
So that means we have 5 movies.
Are they all different?
Yeah,
they must be.
Yeah, they are all.
Well, you guys have the same.
I think me and this guy are the same.
Yeah,
me and Mike are the same.
And I certainly don't mind going first because my number 1 is The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay, so this is our time for that one.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, someone else has it as a 1
mentioned
as well. This is blowing my mind. Okay,
Mike, you're number 1, obviously.
The Muppet movie, baby.
Muppet movie,
and we can't talk about that yet because it's my number 1 Muppet.
There you
movie.
go. Is that it? Is it time?
We're discussing the Muppet movie, 1979.
Talk about the originator, right? Like Oh my gosh! Talk about songs, powerhouse. We talking about Williams writing the music for that.
Every song is gold. Absolutely every song is gold. And I think I think we talked about this thing because you moved it, used it in a previous list, and you convinced me. And my Treasure Island was my number one, and then you convinced me. And then on the rewatch, I'm like, he's right. He's totally right. Every cameo is a banger. Like every cameo is a banger. Every song is a banger. Just the whole concept of them. I love the concept of them picking up Muppets along the way, and like introducing them as they pick them up is so genius. It's such a great story to be like, okay, we're gonna get this character and this is where they are. They get this character and this is where they are, and we're like, brilliant. It's all brilliant.
It's a way to take the show and introduce it to an audience in the movies, right? And
if I may,
yeah.
So as a person who never watched the show, that's good and that's bad because I watched it for the very first time a week ago or 10 days ago or whatever. I enjoy that reason. It's a very much a fun road trip movie for that regard. I love the meta being, this is the movie, we're making a movie. Is this how it happened? Yeah, kind of. So it kind of like, it's more jokey on that. And there's some incredible scenes. Like I messaged you guys, Kermit in the desert, Wang, bringing them along with him. If he doesn't, is an unbelievable scene. I'm like, that. You want to talk about like nuance and context with that scene? The music's great as well too. I just think my problem with the movie itself was how like disconnect. It felt like skits of the show that were unused, that were just sandwiched together. So like they're going, and then they get in that Mel Brooks like contraption, and I'm like, this doesn't even fit anything of the movie. And then they're back on the road again to another spot, to the carnival, and then stuff happens there. It just feels like 10 different little 10-minute skits throughout. Then they finally leads up to it. So that was just my thing where it didn't feel like a complete film.
I think they covered that. I think they handle that with the meta-ness of it, that there's a script and that they jump. Right.
Isn't that what the band is reading ahead? How were you? How'd you know we'd be here? This is where you were in the script.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny.
I like the
and at the end of it, it's all a movie, right? Like they reveal that the whole thing was a movie. So like that's.
Don't even get me with that last scene with the rainbow and it's like the church. All of the Muppets there, and the rainbow comes down, and you're like, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. But talk about cameos. How about, and we said this before on a previous show, how about Big Bird Cameo walking down the street? Follow that bird. Oh my gosh, that was great.
Good luck.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
but oh my gosh. So I don't know. I thought there nothing could top it. I watched it, first out of them in the rewatch there. Oh, I did the Christmas ones because it's Christmas time. Watched it, and I just kept seeing if something would pass it, and nothing could. That's just how when I did it. But
yeah. All right.
Scott?
Well, no. Before we move on, I made a mistake here because I was like, we haven't talked about Muppets from Space, where we should have, because it was Scott's number 3.
That's what I thought.
Okay, you guys want to talk about how awesome Muppets from Space is?
Absolutely.
I want to say this. It was my number 3. I watched that movie. I thought it was regarded. I've seen on a couple lists where people ranked it low because there was no music in it, and like there was obviously no Henson involvement. It came out like right at the turn of the new century, so it was more of like pop culture style stuff. I thought it had a really fun story, a really deep story where Gonzo wondering what he is and like where he comes from. I thought the story itself from point A to point B told a great, he gets captured, the aliens, Jeffrey Tambor, he's got his story, and the cameos throughout are very great. I mean, this was a time when we were all teens. I would have been 12 at this time. So again, you get a lot of the Dawson's Creek references or Hollywood Hogan being like, whatever, I'm a bad guy now. It's like really, really, really fun stuff. I thought Gonzo getting the front lead with Kermit running the side project was great, and a ton of heavy lifting from a character we'll get to in a little bit, and that's Rizzo the Rat. We'll get to him. He is front and center in that whole film.
I was going to say Pepe. They introduced Pepe and Bobo.
Well, they were introduced before, right, on Muppets Tonight, but they in a feature film.
The first movie,
Yeah, but let's not push it too far back, because part of the reason I have this ranked at number 4 is things like Rizzo being a main, sort of more of a main character, if you will, right? And the escape and the laboratory, like that whole laboratory.
Because he's Gonzo's roommate, and he, like Kermit, is in like the rescue mission.
Yeah. Well, and in the lore of Muppets, right, aside from Camilla, Rizzo is sort of his right-hand man, right? And just that whole laboratory rat scene and everything had me in stitches.
Like the gym scene when he goes to the prison, and it's great. The one's bench pressing, and Lou over there, Lou Reeves. Hey, Lou.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is hilarious.
Absolutely had me.
It's so funny. Scott messages and me and was like, "Man, I can't believe you guys hate this movie or don't like this movie." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?
You guys were curious for the old
stuff. Me and Mike saw this in the movie theater together.
Like that.
Yeah,
we were all about it. I don't know where you got that from because we definitely enjoy this movie.
And talk about fresh takes, like you said, not to rehash it too much, but the concept of taking a character like Gonzo that everyone goes, "What is he?" Because we know Piggy's a pig and we know Kermit's a frog, and everybody's sort of explained, if you will. And Gonzo is this just weird, unknown alien-like, and they leaned into it, right? And I just thought that was the coolest take on it of who am I, right? And I was actually thinking it might even go higher. So, but number 4, well-deserved.
High.
Yeah, well-deserved.
Because it doesn't have original songs, it's why it's just a little bit lower on my list at number 6.
Yeah.
But does it have to? Does it have to? Does that have to make it Muppets? Like
for me, that's a big part of it. I mean, I mean, you guys know I'm a music guy, and it does have great music in it, and a lot of funk and everything. But for me, part of the music that's hand in hand with the music, especially the Muppet Show, which we're not talking about here, is songs, right? It's about the Muppet songs and the Muppet performing songs. So Muppet songs definitely plays a huge role.
Bobo the Bear is amazing, hilarious.
He's always
great.
Yes.
And finally, we were talking about how Scott mentioned, why you guys hate on this movie? And a lot of us said, well, we love this movie. What are you talking about? Because it came back to the original concept for the Muppet movies. Because it was after Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. Now we're back to an original story, like Mike said, with celebrity cameos. Like, this is what a Muppets movie is supposed to look like.
A movie about the Muppets, not another story reimagined with Muppets.
And not a feature, and you're not really focused on the people at all. You know, you got Tambor's storyline, but you don't really have a lot of human focus.
Yeah, he's right where he's supposed to be for a human in a Muppet movie.
And I have to say, that first 10, 15 minutes, whatever, where you're in a house and it's just full of Muppets and we're going from room to room. Give me a whole movie of that. I just want to go to each room, the attic, the cellar. I don't care.
Starring Dr. Drew.
Oh my God.
Kids are gonna get, but the adults, they're paying attention. And like Rizzo, what he said, I think before you answer that question, you better be real clear on the final destination of that finger.
Now, there's an adult joke that is a good one. That's a good adult. Yeah.
Well, because it's not sexual. It's about like doctor. It's a doctor.
Yeah. But so it's pressing against that edge comfortably without going over it. Like you know, those shows when they were in transition may have a little.
And, Pepe is another home run hitter in that movie.
Absolutely.
Oh man, huge. I thought before you said Rizzo, because I wasn't thinking Rizzo, I thought you were going to say Pepe because I thought
Pepe's great. Pepe was on my short list for favorite characters. He unfortunately didn't make it, but Pepe is a scene stealer in that film too.
Oh my gosh,
he's just not a feature. He's not a full feature, but he definitely every time he comes on. I thank goodness they added him as a new Muppet when Muppets Tonight came around and they featured him because his delivery and the way he says things, oh my gosh, it's so great. Yeah.
The money is okay.
You build us the hot tub, okay?
Yes. Okay. All right,
and then right after, and then the scene like later, the next morning, him and Rizzo are like, we gotta tell him. Okay, you tell him. Rizzo says to Pepe, you gotta tell him, right? It's like, we gotta tell him. And then Gonzo runs out like a hurricane. He's got something to do. Pepe turns around. Why didn't you tell him?
Yeah. He's great.
Okay.
Moving on. Scott's number one?
So I'm piggybacking off your number one because you guys are boomers. AB a little more than Mike because I know how much Mike likes. But my Muppet movie is New Muppets 2011, The Muppets.
Now it's time to discuss.
Love that decision.
Train wreck of a movie.
Wow. I know why you hate it. She's
just because Amy
an anchor to the story. She is the worst part of that movie. She'll get to it, but women, right? This movie killed me. Okay, so they do what Creed does with Rocky, take the exact same story and just give it a new, fresh gloss coat of paint that works so well. And the jokes are amplified. Like, I haven't laughed that hard. I just want to say one thing. I haven't laughed that hard at any movie I've watched. Any of these and any movie I've watched probably in a few months. Then the scene when Kermit comes down his driveway and you hear like the angels singing and then the choir is vocalizing behind him on the bus.
Oh yeah,
you know, and it's like the choir, boys choir of America, and I'm like, that's so funny. It's little things like that sprinkled throughout the film.
It is funny. I just on that joke, I laughed harder when The Simpsons did it.
Okay,
come on.
Sure.
The concept here,
kind of funny.
All day.
The concept here of and this is to push back against your not taking other things. The fact that this was a revival Muppet film, in my opinion, because it was so far from the last theatrical one. And that they took, like Scott said, the original storyline, road trip, right? Got to save the studio kind of feel to it. They pull in the actual studio that they're going to fix up and all of this nostalgia. Like, and I know Scott wouldn't necessarily be as tied to the nostalgia. There is so much nostalgia dripping out of this film that I am eating it up. And if you
but
don't,
it's great.
If you don't
they introduce Walter, who's like the #1 fan, who's just explaining it to everyone because he shows up as the Kermit costume and gets made fun of by the people. They're like, oh, Kermit, what is this, 1979? Yes, and I'm like, that's hilarious.
And I'm not a huge fan of Walter himself, but I will say this. The way they used him, right? And the storyline, like the original storyline of this and how Sequel brought it back with the way they wrote that screenplay was genius. And so through Walter, we're reliving our nostalgia. And if you don't tell me that scene and song pictures in my head where Kermit is one shining thing, he's walking through that hall and you're seeing all the Muppets come out of the frame. If you aren't shedding a tear, if you're an original Muppet fan, you have no heart. And that song right there alone jumps this at least 5 spots on a list.
Yeah. And where is it? It's number 9, so it jumped 2 spots. Because
on that note, for me too, when we were just talking about how essential songs are to the Muppets, they got Brett from Flight of the Conchords to write all the songs. All the songs in here are bangers.
Yeah, they're great.
Every Muppet is such a good song.
Except maybe one that's rapped, but that's okay.
That's fine. That
was Chris Cooper doing, guys.
That one's a little terrible, but for the most part, the songs are so good.
Oh,
and
dude.
We may be talking about at least one.
Life's a Happy Song. Life's a Happy Song. So catchy. So catchy. Man or Muppet, say what you want about it being a human singing that, right? But the actual scenes where they're singing and then all of a sudden Walter's looking in the mirror and then what's his name?
Parsons.
Parsons comes out and how they Muppet a human, and that song is like deep.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a deep,
and it's one of the
huge sellers for me. It was the songs, and even now when I rewatched it just last week, I was like, holy crap, the songs here are so good.
I was listening to that soundtrack over and over after that came out, and then we showed that as she was older enough, we showed that movie to my daughter, and then she wanted to hear the soundtrack, and so that just became a regular staple in the car when we were driving places. But
okay, songs aside, because Brett McKenzie is very good. Is a very good songwriter and everything. After I watched this one and Muppets Most Wanted, I restarted Flight of the Conchords because I do like their music, and it's essentially that kind of stuff. I mean, I'll just go past Amy Adams as a terrible actress. That's over there.
What if we put Isla Fisher in the role?
Fine, great. That would have been amazing because she's not as well known. So this would have been another stepping spot for her. During the rewatch, I said it before in a chat or in an earlier discussion. When he showed up, I was like, "Oh yeah, remember when he was big?"
Jason Segel,
yeah, Jason Segel, because he's not in anything anymore. It kind of, I don't want to say dates the movie, but seeing him, I'm just like, he's not popular. I I it doesn't work for me.
Sorry, that's me. I'm sorry.
I was like, what's happening? Did someone just jump in and take over?
The story itself, when I heard it was going to be, essentially the first movie where they kind of a road trip gathering the people, getting all the Muppets back together, I was like, that sounds pretty good. In my mind, I was like, it could be like the Blues Brothers. If the Muppets adapted the Blues Brothers, where Kermit and Fozzie are getting the band back together, going across, in
kind of what it is. It's kind of what it is. And you actually literally say, let's get the band back together.
So the human actor's story, I hate. It doesn't belong in that movie at all. It bothers me that there's this tacked on love story where Jason Segel forgets their anniversary or something.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Sure, you could, but I mean that lives out. Like it's not
okay. So this is what I'm saying. All of these things suck. When I don't think you're convincing me. During the cameos, all of these much better actors are there. I'm like, that should have been who playing. Emily Blunt was there. Should have been Emily Blunt. And one scene, Donald Glover and Rashida Jones were in a scene together. That should have been the movie. Those two falling in love or whatever. I would rather see that. They're both way better actors. And Donald Glover singing Muppet songs would have been amazing.
Yeah, but Donald Glover didn't write the screenplay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Donald Glover didn't
instrumental in bringing the Muppets back to life.
Right. Okay.
You said Jason Segel isn't in anything and he's kind of like faded off or whatever. Jason Segel will always have a place in my heart
for reviving the Muppets.
For reviving the Muppets and bringing them back.
My point is, what you call nostalgia, I call offensive. Because in this script, in this story, they're like, the Muppets did the Muppet Show, one movie, and then faded off the earth and never existed. Because they don't reference anything else. Because you said the kids make fun of Walter's comic of his costume. He's like, what is this, 1979? No, it could be any year up until 2006. They were still relevant.
Yeah, it's just like it's just supposed to hammer home that they're like not popular, which they were.
You go to Kermit's Rolodex and it's all of these old stars that aren't relevant anymore.
It's funny he did try to call
more people.
But you're looking at it from a standpoint of us as diehard Muppet fans. In reality, at that moment in time in 2011, the Muppets were dated material. Yeah. They were.
Not dated back to 1982.
No, but what do you want the kid to do? Stand on the sidewalk and rattle off all the movies and then say they saw?
Well, and also it's based on the show, right? Yeah. It's more referencing the show, the Muppet Show, and all those people were
for me because like a quote from Muppets Most Wanted. We had 7 other movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it stands water. The things that I think are great about it are the things you hate about it. I love that there's a callback in this movie where Sweetums is in the parking lot, the exact same car parking lot from Hold on, guys! Oh, come on!
Callbacks like that are fine. Another thing, Camilla talking with subtitles. She never needed subtitles before. That bothered me as soon as I saw it. It's like, what the hell?
Let's talk about fun stuff. When they go through all the stuff, and Rolf's like, "Why did you guys cut out my story? I thought it was pretty fun." Hey, Rolf, want to be in the Muppets? Yeah, okay. It's good jokes, man. Let's talk about the good stuff. It's my number one.
I have to say this, and this is what I loved even more, the whole behind-the-scenes concept of Jason Segel was a big deal at the time. Jason Segel was in a movie called Forgetting Sarah Marshall a few years before this. And at the end of that movie, what did he want to do?
You make his vampire Muppet play.
And his Apex Mountain. He was at his Apex Mountain, Scott.
Very much at it.
What did he use as his clout? What did he use for his clout?
To get the Muppets back.
Muppets.
And I absolutely...
Right there in my heart.
That sort of tie-in, where I know they're not the same, world or universe, but the fact that in that movie, his goal was to do that, and then all of a sudden, 3 years later, he did it, and I'm here talking about the Muppets right now as relevant, makes that movie top.
I won't deny his fandom. I just didn't like how he handled it. And now we're going to get to Walter, who I described who is not the worst part of this. Who is not the worst part of this movie.
Okay, I'll agree.
I was like, it's not Walter's fault. I like his character as a huge Muppet fan because that's what I am too. But he's the star of a Muppet movie. How do you just walk on the set and become the star of a movie? I equated it to a scene in Friends in our chat, the Thanksgiving episode that has Brad Pitt. And at one point, Brad Pitt is in Monica's apartment. Joey walks in and he talks to Monica and he says, and he's eating a bag of chips. And Monica's like, "What are you eating this for? We're eating dinner later." And then Joey talks about how the human body works. And then Brad Pitt chimes in with, "You can eat and eat all you want, but nothing's going to fill that void." And then Joey looks at him like, "Oh, hey," gives him a nod, and he turns back to Monica. "Who the hell's this guy?" That's how I feel about Walter. He just walks in. Who the hell is this guy? To talk to the Muppets like he's known them.
I feel like they give you a really good setup on who he is in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think Walter is more great. I think Walter's more a Mike Hannigan, if you will, from Friends, where he shows up out of nowhere and he kind of a little bit grows on you, and he helps enrich the storyline and bring you to where you need to be. And he comes in, and Phoebe shines a little more when she's with Mike. I find their storylines a lot funnier on Friends. And when Walter comes in, he brings the Muppets back as a concept to us because he was, like you said, a super fan. They died out, and he still lives in that world, which I think and you and I still kind of live in.
Like, Scott already brought up the concept, but Scott already brought up the idea that he's the conduit to the new fans, right? Yeah. Without Walter, you don't like. We're looking at him through the lens of old fans, and be like, "Oh, who the hell is this guy?" So Walter represents the new fans, right? And he has to literally
are still telling. And the other thing too that's good
because we all know what's going on, but like new fans, like this guy, like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" Right?
If you look at a deeper level too, what's nice is you look at the Muppets themselves as celebrities, and they drift apart. They grew apart because their stardom and this, just like in anything, after they work so hard on something, they don't realize the fruits of their labor and the effects that they had on the culture. Yeah. They could in anything. You see that all around. And then it's Walter who goes back to them and be like, you guys are the biggest thing in the world. You guys are the greatest thing in the world. Debatable if they actually are or not. But again, he gets them back.
Oh, you're losing me, Scott. You're losing me.
He gets them all back through his love. And they realize what it was like when they were a brand new Muppet too, through his eyes. So he reinvigorates them with the youth, and that's what he represents. So I don't know. I don't Slater. Walter is a style icon. He has never had less than an A+ fit in the two movies. He looks like $1 million. Love him.
I think you want to talk style icon, you got to talk Dr. Teeth. That guy has
style. Hell yeah. We will talk about Dr. Teeth. Whoa. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah, we got a couple more movies to talk about.
Sean's number 1, right? Is that what we're on?
Yep, Sean's number 1.
So what's our last film to discuss?
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's my number 2.
Talk away. I don't have much to say.
As far as all the Muppet movies are concerned, this is the one I watch the most because it's a yearly tradition.
Yeah.
All of the songs are A+ from the theatrical version. And this is the first Muppet movie after Jim Henson died. I'm going to bring this point up again later. And we bring Gonzo and Rizzo up to the foreground as the narrator and his assistant there. And Kermit is off to the side just a little bit. Like Kermit was here, Gonzo was here. They got to just be about even for this movie. Michael Caine is introduced to a new generation. I would have not known who he was before this movie. What else? Somebody else step in.
Well, you're right with Michael Caine. I would agree on this because I have this ranked at 5, but I will agree that out of all of them, this is the best actor to Muppet meshing, I think. Right?
He's already an Academy Award winner at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a perfect role for him, right? Mm-hmm. He is again playing the straight character, the straight man, to the crazy Muppet shenanigans, right? And I think we made when he signed on, he's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna ham it up and goof it up, and we're like, no, that's literally why we are hiring you on, because we want you to be Scrooge. We want you to play Scrooge
that's
straight.
The best thing about the Muppets. It's how straight everyone plays it.
Yeah, and like that's why it works so well, because he is throwing out an A+ performance as Scrooge, despite Muppet shenanigans happening around him. And again, you talked about the songs, Matt. The songs are unbelievably good. And I watched again on Christmas Day, and I was singing the songs all day in my head. And throughout
they are catchy.
I mean, that's Paul Williams.
Now, do you want to, Matt, just real quick for anybody at home, do you want to explain when you said the original songs in the theatrical?
Well,
do we really want to get into this?
Sure, I'll get into it.
Yeah.
In the theatrical version, when when the Ghost of Christmas Past brings Scrooge to his younger self, and he sees his breakup going on, it just cuts away. She says, something to the fact of, we don't love each other anymore, and walks away. When the movie reached VHS, they added a song there where she talks about the title is "The Love Is Gone." Yeah. The entire time, like I saw it in theaters, and then we got the VHS, me and my sister. We watched that movie once, and never again did we ever listen to that song during the movie. We hit fast forward every time. We do not like that movie. Now, when the movie came back to DVD, you had the choice of widescreen or full screen.
Yeah.
The widescreen was theatrical and doesn't have that song. The full screen is, the square, and it does. And I was like, this is amazing. I get the better picture and no song. I love this DVD.
Oh,
But I have to say, and okay, it's not the best song on the tracks there, but it pushes the story forward. Without that song, there's a little less emotion in the past.
Well, and
Rizzo's crying. That's enough motion for me.
it puts the weight onto Scrooge, because he sees how much he's lost. Up until that point, like he kind of sees the broken humanity and all that stuff. He doesn't up until that point, for me, and even in that song, especially when they're walking along, you don't see the weight of how much the toll is taken on him, and he reflects on how much he personally has lost, not just other people around him, right?
in the original Dickens, there's a lot more weight given to Belle, his former, and we meet the family that she now has, and it really shows that the part of life is to give joy to others, and the ghosts that are left now, this real life original Dickens, they're suffering over the ails in the world that they can't address. Whereas when we were alive, we had the option to do that. And so when you see that musical tie from When Love Is Gone, at the end, it's When Love Is Found.
Yeah.
Switched it around, and he had that musical moral turnover. So it's gone, but it has been found. So there's that redemption quality, that prodigal son. He's back, ready to go, because now he's actually got a lot of money. He can pay for stuff.
Which is funny because
he realizes how many people are in his life too that he has, and he can fill his love with.
For better, so many people. Yeah.
He doesn't realize how much people hate him too throughout when he goes to all the different things of the past and even the present. People are making fun of him. His nephew and the party are making fun of him. When they go to the future, like they're like, I got his bed clothes, all that stuff. They don't, and it's a daunting morning for him because he doesn't realize he has this illusion that people like somehow like him. Maybe, I don't know, but like he doesn't know how empty his life is too. So
you're of the feast, indeed.
Now, I will say two things. I will say two things about this conversation. One is you realize this is why it's ranked lower for me, because now we've just talked about Dickens and the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I was just saying we're talking about Dickens.
A puppet for about 2 minutes. Now, I will also add that why I do like this film, though, is it does introduce us to, or at least to a wider audience, the talents of Brian Henson, right, and what he can do, right. And he did this, and he did Muppet Treasure Island, and thank goodness that Henson's family was able to step in and take over and produce as good, if not better, right, caliber Muppet productions. So
it's right on that cusp where they're still using models, they're still using sets,
miniatures,
a blend of miniatures, the zoom-ins, the forced perspective. So we're seeing these really broad, distant areas, but these really kind of out of shape homes. The way everything was created to look sort of like it's off weight and gravity. The construction, the architecture, everything is Muppet-esque, and gives all the remnants, the reminiscence to a person of old Britain, So really ties a lot of cool aspects in, and it's memorable. Yeah. And characters don't need to be introduced as characters. They fit those roles very well.
And it does introduce 3, you can call them Muppets, you can just call them puppets, of the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, who only appear in this movie and live on in people's minds forever.
Terrifying.
I was just gonna say, for bad or for worse, at least 2 of them are terrible. One of them is
terrifying.
I don't even know which one you're talking about, Death or the little baby. The little girl is just the little girl is 1,000 times terrifying than the Reaper guy.
That is who I am talking about.
The little girl is so
the description
and her voice.
Matt hates the Muppet. Now I got to rephrase this. Not Muppet babies, but the baby versions of Muppets
who are in this.
It's her and them. Like,
their voices. Oh my gosh. Anyway. All right, where are we at?
That's it. That's our list. I'll just remind everyone watching at this point to also rank these Muppet movies in order. Put them in the comments. Maybe tell us why. If you haven't seen some of them, like the lesser direct-to-video or TV specials, you can leave them off. You can put them at your bottom 3, similar to a couple of us did. And with that, we're going to move on to our top 5 Muppets. Well, that seems to be the perfect spot to put a pin in the conversation. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of the Mack Flash 5 Muppet special. This conversation went on for almost 3 hours, so we had to break it up into 2 parts. In part 2, we'll discuss our top 5 Muppets and our top 5 Muppet songs from the movies we just talked about. And it's a episode you won't want to miss, because for the first time in Mack Flash 5 history, we have a unanimous number 1 pick for one of those topics. So keep an eye out for the Mack Flash 5 Muppet Special Part 2 right here on the Mack Flash YouTube channel.